when you are healing from narcissistic abuse, you start healing emotionally. Emotions are invisible and they are non-linear. So you carry around a lot of emotional wounds. Therefore, it is so important to write down the truth about that relationship. You need to write down the traumatic experiences. Because when you start writing, you start feeling. And when you still think like, oh, I don't want to write because that hurts, then I will tell you, you don't allow yourself to grieve the losses within that relationship because you lost your innocence. You lost your self-worth. You lost your self-love. You lost your safety. You lost yourself because you became a mirror for the narcissist and you have buried yourself. You became nothing in that relationship. So you need to write down a list with the belief systems you have internalized in that relationship. And then you need to make a list with all the traumatic events that you have experienced within that relationship. Because there you start to feel. When you start writing, do it without any judgment. Write down whatever you want. When you start writing, you start feeling, you start healing. Don't force it though. You don't need to rush. Every day you just write. Write whatever you want. But the most important thing is to make a list about that person. Because you have shaped an image about that person in the love bombing phase. And that's the image with whom you had a relationship with, within your own fantasy. That was your escape within traumatic events in that relationship. Every time that person became violent, aggressive, they started to humiliate you, criticize you, maybe even embarrass you around other people. Whatever they did, what made you feel very small, foolish, ashamed of yourself. When you start to write down this truth, it will hurt. But there, you will find out that you have lost your safety there. You have lost your self-worth there, your self-love. Because you didn't walk away. You couldn't protect yourself in whatever way. So instead of leaving a person who have hurt you with their actions, their behavior, you stayed. And there you lost your self-worth. There you lost your self-respect. You lost it all there. So you need to go back there. And maybe that time is like a very long time ago. But you need to go back. Because you escaped all those experiences with that person. You found excuses for that person. You didn't want to see their true colors. Because every time a traumatic event happened within that relationship with that person, you escaped into your fantasy, where you had a relationship with an illusion. So the more you start to write down the truth about that person, the more you will feel rage, anger, pain, hurt, sadness. But that is the process. That's the only way. When you say, I don't want to feel that pain, I don't want to feel that rage, because that's wrong. Then I'm not healing. Yes, you are. You are. You need to sit with your wounds. Because there they become visible. When you escape from them, they stay invisible. And then they manifest in your external reality as a mirror. So therefore, when you find yourself in the same cycles over and over again, that really tells you that everything that happens right now, all the chaos that is going on outside of yourself, is there for you. Everything that comes to the surface right now is ready to let go of. But when you look at your external reality, you see all the chaos, all the negative shit it feels like your life falls apart, then I will tell you, that's not a wrong thing. That's a good thing. Because everything that comes to the surface is an opportunity for your own growth. It will transform you if you allow it. Don't resist anything that happens outside of yourself. Allow it to be there. And start writing. Writing. Because when you start to write down everything that happens right now, then you start to realize that everything that happens right now is all the things that you have suppressed. And now your emotions, they become visible. And there's the wound. But when you say, oh, the wound is because this happened. No, this wound was already there. And that what happens there is a manifestation of this. So thank everything that happens right now also. It's not wrong that you face a lot of challenges, that you feel stuck. Therefore, you need to write. Now also make a list of belief systems you hold about yourself within the version of yourself you wish to be. Visualize the life of your dreams. It's really not about external stuff. But you need to look at yourself in your dreams. What kind of person are you there? What kind of habits do you have? What is it what you do on a daily basis? How do you think about yourself? What is it that you believe about yourself? Maybe you are very confident. Maybe you honor your work. Maybe you speak up for yourself. Doesn't matter, write it down. And then you can compare that list with the list of beliefs you have internalized within the relationship with a narcissist. Now look at today. What kind of things did you tell yourself? Out of what list do you still speak? Do you still speak the beliefs you have internalized within a relationship with a narcissist? Or do you speak to yourself out of the belief systems you have shaped in the version of yourself you wish to be? Then you also write down, today I told myself that I'm not worthy for this or that. Today I met someone and I felt very small. Today I had a conversation with a colleague and I placed that person on a pedestal and made myself very small. You need to write down those things every evening. You need to write down what you told yourself that day. And then look at the list. Is it out of old belief systems? Or is it out of new belief systems? There you start to become aware. Awareness is always the key. Because when you keep telling yourself that you are small, that it is normal to place other people on a pedestal, or when you keep telling yourself that you are not enough, that you need to prove yourself to earn your self-worth, because that is the biggest one when you walk out of a narcissistic relationship, the need to prove yourself because you don't feel enough. Also write that down. Today I was so busy with proving myself, but whatever I did, I felt not enough. I am still chasing validation because I don't know how to validate myself. When you start to write and speak your truth, the more you start to heal. But the more you lose yourself, and that is really what I've experienced, like the law of attraction, it is true. But when you lose yourself in fantasies, like constantly telling yourself like, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I need to visualize, without looking at the promise of what you visualize, maybe you tell yourself like, oh, I need to visualize that I have all the money I need to live the life of my dreams. Then what's the promise? Because I will tell you, whatever you visualize about money, whatever things you want in life, you lack it right now. So instead of looking at your dreams, you need to look at your wounds. Because the more you escape in your dreams without embodying it, without grounding it in your reality, the more you escape your wounding. So first, you need to tell yourself what is true in this moment. I feel a lack of abundance because I feel not enough. I feel a failure. I feel that I cannot paint. I feel that I cannot be a speaker, a writer, a coach, or whatever you want to be. I cannot believe that I can do that because I feel a fool. I feel stupid. I feel that I don't deserve my dreams because I lost them. I don't even feel that they are real anymore. If you tell yourself that, and every time you visualize, then you are not feeling and you are not healing. No, you are looking for the feeling, but you cannot get the feeling before you take action. You need to take action without the need for a feeling of self-love, a feeling of worthiness. No, you write down, this is what I want to do today, and you start doing it. There you gather proof and evidence that you are worthy of it. There you build self-love. There you build self-worth. But the more you keep yourself in the waiting mode, the more you wait for positive feelings, the more you are not doing anything. You need to take action. So maybe today you had a conversation with a colleague and you placed them on a pedestal, what made you feel very small. You now tell yourself that you don't place anyone on a pedestal. Because you know that placing people on a pedestal is what you do to make yourself small. You want to hide. So that message is actually telling you that you need to allow yourself to be seen. You don't need to hide parts of yourself anymore. If you feel miserable today, then show that. When you want to cry, then show that. Don't hide yourself any longer. And beautiful friends, the last advice is really make decisions that are best for you. Decisions made out of self-love and self-respect. I know it's hard, but you are not responsible for how others react, how others feel about your decisions. You are not responsible. If people get angry, then you are not responsible. And you can cut them off because those people, they are not a part of your future. Because when you make decisions based on your self-love and self-respect, then the right people will support those decisions. So when they are not supported and you are still afraid that people will get angry, then you are not choosing yourself. You choose to stay a mirror for others. And there you stay buried. So stop doing that. Every time you make decisions that are best for you, you choose more of yourself.